No, give it 10. Give it 10.
10. We don't have 10.
Did you go live already?
We have 9.
You did it.
We're live.
We got 9.
8,
We're live.
7,
Why
6.
you do this
If you don't have an ad.
You don't
if you
listen.
don't have an ad.
We need to go to relationship counselling. Clearly, we're not communicating as clearly as we could. Hi.
Hi, everyone. If you were watching that whole thing, welcome. If you're watching an ad,
you will be.
Welcome back to The Social Pillar. My name is Jared, also known as the GM Chef, and joining me tonight is Thea, as always, and a wonderful guest.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Guest. Hello, everybody. I am OMGM. Always a pleasure to be here. And hello to our wonderful guest. I even pointed to the correct side. I'm very proud of myself.
I'm just Renato.
No, nothing just about it. Wait, that makes it sound like you're the unjust Renato.
I'm the just.
He is the just. The one and only. Renato, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name, Renato.
Hi, Renato.
Hi, Renato.
I been playing in game mastering 27 years. So I really enjoy, or I really stuck to something that I did do something really wrong.
And we're grateful for it.
I think I really enjoy it. Mostly play Dungeons and Dragons.
Cool.
But I do enjoy playing Shadow Dark and Alien.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We might have to hit you up about that.
Personal favorite.
Alien is awesome. But Alien I like playing. I have no intention of ever game mastering it. It's playing so much fun that I just don't want to.
Ooh.
I would like to play. We've talked about that before, I think, on this channel, wanting to have a go at some other types of games. I am excellent at sentences. What are we doing here? What brings the three of us? What shall we three do again? Hey, come back. Welcome. Good to see you again.
Welcome. Well, this is The Social Pillar. It's an ongoing conversation about role-playing games, the craft, cultures, and communities around the world. And we just want to talk to wonderful people like Renato. But first, I would like to acknowledge that we are coming to you from Aboriginal land. I'm coming to you from Kurungai land, and we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we're streaming to you from, and pay our respects to elders past and present, and extend those respects to any First Nations people who are watching. So, as three game masters, we would like to talk about specifically, I guess, running at conventions, as that's where we've met. But I feel like we'll just let the conversation lead us where it may, because undoubtedly this is why this kind of project came together, because of the little conversations in between games at conventions where GMs just get to talk about the cool stuff they do. So I'd love to hear something from you.
That.
Yeah.
I think also we kind of wanted to pick your brain, Renato, because you've got experiences that maybe we don't all share. It's okay. You can leave it in your head this time. After the last time with that last guest that we're not supposed to talk about, I promise that will never happen again. But yeah, you sort of told us a bit about getting into GMing and running games. Renato said you've been doing it for about 20 years. What appeals to you about running games? Why here? Why you?
Playing or running? Very different things.
Let's
talk about both.
We'll circle. Yeah. Then we'll circle back.
Tell us what appeals to you.
Running because, it's easier to find players than GMs. One, it's easier.
True.
And I like particular style. That is not it's not that easy to find someone who does similar. So I like hard, to almost brutal. I like tactical, and I like that if all you do is I run at it and I hit it with my sword. I like when there's scale. I like when there's variety. I like when the story actually continues. I like when there's sessions that, from session to session, as you go into different sandbox, you travel, then you get somewhere, then there's something that happens.
Yeah.
It's different, right? I like maps. I like no maps. I like all of that. And I
do like maps.
Yes.
We do.
And I like creating the whole thing, right? I spend a lot of time on that, and So that's why I game master.
Yeah. I want to pick up on something. You say you like games that are hard and technical. What does that mean to you?
Say level 1 party fighting a CR4 monster.
Okay.
Right.
So,
like wrong decision, see you later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like death is never the end. It's just another opportunity for it's a side quest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's actually a really nice motto for
Death
life.
is a side quest should be an
Death is a
RPG
side
system.
It
Oh
should
my
be.
god.
So yeah, because otherwise it gets really repetitive. And I also enjoy non-standard. So yes, I use the Wizards of the Coast books, no drama, all right. But the right now the campaign that I run every Tuesday, we're doing a siege. So they're inside a lodge, and there is this force of whatever size attacking. Out of all the monsters, there's maybe 3 that are actually Wizards of the Coast books. Because I didn't want just to have, and the players know it's orc related. I just didn't want it to go and go like orc times 20.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of differences. So I do. So I get Wizards, then I get the MCDM book. I forgot the name now because I suck with names.
We talked about this before we came on.
Yes, right. There's one that's called Masters and Minions. There's one called Return of the Horde, Advanced 5e. I picked from all
Codex, Time of Beasts.
Creature Codex, yes. Time of Beasts, yes.
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
And when I don't like
something unexpected. Yeah.
And I like when it's a stage, right? So, and as a game master, it's a lot easier for me to have fun with that.
Yeah.
Than as a player, then I just kind of
you need stimulation as a player. Like I can absolutely relate. I like hardcore RPGs. I think we should play some Dragonbane. I'm about to get my hands on physical copies, but it's by the same publisher as Alien Free League, and it's a D20. Yeah, it's a D20. It actually flips everything on its head. So you want to roll low. A 1 is a dragon, and a 20 is a bane, and brilliant and terrible things happen. You have to manage your inventory, all sorts of things like that. So it brings back a lot of the fluff and gives you a really solid system. So I'd love to. That sounds really fun. But yeah, I get it. Variety and challenge and spicing things up. That's a beautiful approach to
it. And as a player, I really enjoy the role play part of the game. The mechanics are not really interesting. Like I do math at work, right? That's why like the game, the actual system that I like to enjoy playing the most is Alien, right? Because literally, if you find a xenomorph, it's just kind of done. So it's everything that you do in between and how you interact with the whole thing, right?
So much,
and and the game, you really roll very little dice, and it's all about how you choose to interact with everything. That's how it plays.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's interesting. So you say that, and it does sound like it's a very different approach to when you're GMing to when you're playing. Would you play in one of your games?
I would.
Yeah.
Yes, I would, 100%. Because the season that I'm running, there were 2 sessions of prep. The players had 2 sessions to prep. Right, and then at the end of the second session, go like so that was one day, and then I actually told them, you tell me when this day finished. So you tell me when you think you're ready.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's powerful.
That's weapon.
And I did that for both days, right? Yes. So you tell me, and they go like, we want to do all of this. I go like, well, I think this is reasonable. What do you guys think? It's very collaborative.
Yeah.
And it was just, tell me what time you guys decide to rest. And I kept reminding them, like, remember that you don't need to all go to bed together and you start at 8 and finish at, I know, right? You can kind of stagger it. Like, so cool,
100%.
like I'm going to rest in the afternoon, I'm going to rest in the evening, because then there's someone awake and tell me what you're doing. Tell me where you are. We had the night before, the night before, they all went to bed sort of at the same time in different places. Then 2 scouts, assassins, highly trained, did a lot of damage. And that was the prelude. Yes.
Yeah.
And he was playing dark vision, proper dark vision. So even if you have dark vision, you have disadvantage on everything because there was 0 light. If you don't have dark vision, you just don't see anything.
Yeah.
So you're blind. Yeah, blind's an unusual thing in 5e because it just gives you disadvantage, but you still actually have to get within some kind of closeness. You can't just it opens you up to too many things.
I just
And
wave
it's
your
really hard
arms
to cast spells when you see nothing.
Exactly.
So many is a creature you can see. Yeah.
Or when you're looking from a distance and everyone looks fuzzy, so you're like, cool, they all look fuzzy. Which one do you actually attack?
Yeah.
And tell me which one. And you could be attacking the right one, you could be attacking the wrong one.
Yeah. You'll only find out when you accidentally skewer your compatriot. Oops.
Yeah, that's a nice way to roleplay into like the range of a weapon and things like that, and just I love that. So I'm hearing a lot of like beautiful ideas for campaigns, and I love how you just think of each episode as like each session is serving a purpose from the sounds of it. Like you give the players the space to actually set something up and narratively include themselves in what's happening rather than just let the world come to them or them go on a specific sort of quest. What about one-shots and conventions? Do you think very similarly, or do you have a different approach to one-shots?
Now, I don't do a lot of one-shots out of conventions, right? But on conventions, it's all about maximum fun.
Okay.
It's 3 or 4 hours. It's maximum fun. So what can I give them that is different, is a little bit unique, and has a lot of things for them to interact with, and it's maximum fun.
Yeah.
Because you can't really set... I can't spend 8... I spent 8... Like, so this one was 8 hours, so 2 4-hour sessions setting the scene, right?
Yeah. That's a couple of conventions worth before you even get into play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So
for
can't do
sure.
that, right?
Yeah.
So I focus on having unique encounters. So the last ones that I did the last 2 collecticons, right? So it was a morning, afternoon. Morning was you get into the camp, you need to get through the kobolds and get to the priestess and stop the ritual. And in the afternoon is whoopsie. Now you continue on, and there is this massive beast of a red dragon in front of you, right?
Amazing.
And the first one that I ran, I had 2 kids at the table with me, and he goes like, and they had read the book back to front, right? The monster book. They go like, but this is not how a red dragon works. And I looked at them and go like, says who? Like, it says the monster manual. I go like, that guy didn't come from the monster manual.
Yeah.
And they just look at me like I have 4 heads, right? I go like, what?
This is my monster manual. Yes.
It's my world now, children.
Yes, and I do put a lot of environmental effects as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So, what's happening around it. It's not just that one creature. So yes, I like that. So that's how I do in conventions. Like, a centerpiece and whatever it is, and maximum fun. And I don't really care about the rules at all.
It's actually really interesting. I was going to ask you about that because one of the things you said that you enjoy about running games is that technical side of things. And a lot of the time when people say they like the technical side of things, they like to play the rules. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I know people say, rules is written, that's got a real negative connotation. I don't think so. I think it is a different style of play that suits some people. But is that what you meant by technical, or do you meant something else?
Convention, I did just like, you just tell me what you want to do, and if then we'll work it out. Doesn't really matter. On the game is within boundaries. It kind of needs to make some sort of reality, fantasy reality reason for it to work, right? But so 4 players, none of them are playing a class, like they're playing a class that's in a book, but none of the subclasses are actually written. They're all twisted and unique.
Oh yeah.
So the necromancer is from Valdus, Fire Secrets.
Cool.
So it's very loosely based on a wizard, but not really. The warlock is Warlock of the Raven Queen. So it's all based on a UA that never got published.
Yeah,
Never
I
got
love a lot of that
published.
unearthed arcana stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but never got published. Didn't rate well, right?
So sad. Yeah.
But he's playing that. So the ranger, when one of the characters died, they have a soul bond. So between the two, so I said like, cool, you just died. Before you go, you can give this other player a gift. So the ranger is not really a straight ranger anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And the barbarian is all like, you started straight, and now it's a dragon touched barbarian.
Interesting.
Okay.
Because the barbarian saved the life of a dragon.
Oh. Now, we don't want to give too much away about your game if you happen to have your players watching.
This is all past. So.
It's all past, all history. It's all canon
That's
now.
who they are.
Yeah.
We're speaking of such players and such characters. I love that because, absolutely making things unique. I'll do things similarly. Like if people want to do a cool thing or they're like asking for a custom something or other, it's either make it a magic item, just make it up, bugger the stats, or like they can take a feat that lets them do something kind of so when they're able to take a feat through leveling up, absolutely you can have something that makes your character for sure. I love that.
The other thing I tell them is, so we've been playing for a year and a half almost. They're still level 3. It's low, and I say when you level up, if you want to just multi-class because you want to get this little piece, let me know what the little piece is, and we might be able to work it out in a different way that's more fun than just being 8 levels of this, 2 levels of that, 6 levels of something else, and it's just
feels kind of dull. So I derailed us a little bit because we started talking about conventions, because I'm curious now about how that's your sort of style and you like the technical side of things, you like to homebrew almost things and worlds and monsters. How did you find adapting that style when you started running at conventions, where you are in that one-shot kind of very contained environment?
It's time bound, so it has to have an end at a time. So I manage the whole thing based on time.
Okay. Tell us a bit more about that. What do you mean by manage on time? Do you have module bits that you can pull in and out?
This is a design encounters in the same way for the conventions or for my my campaign, right? Maximum possible size. So this is the maximum possible of how hard it can be. So I never need to scale up because it just became too easy. I design everything ultra deadly.
Okay.
And then I go like, what's the intention of this? Is this meant to be really deadly or not? Because sometimes you design for deadly and it takes 3 seconds and it's done. Right? And sometimes it's easy to kind of lose track of it. So normally what I time bound in a convention by, cool, this is what it is. And then depending on how it's progressing and how well the players are doing, I might shrink or not.
Okay.
So I don't have an issue of like I ran out of because I'm just I'm taking that out. I'm taking that out. I'm taking that out. I'm taking that out. So we can move to the next bit and taking that out, taking that out. Right.
Love that.
So that's kind of how I've always done it. And so it wasn't really hard.
I think that's an interesting approach, because sometimes when we've talked to people, and I think the way we play as well, or the way I design games, is I tend to have more modularized. So it's not so much start big, scale down, but I have, so this is my narrative arc. Okay, they're getting through that really quickly. I'm going to add in this bit, and I'm going to add in this chunk. So it's just interesting to hear that different approach.
Yeah, I'm not really attached to anything either. So like, if he changes, deletes, change whatever. And I am proficient on my feet, so I don't worry too much about the detail. Like I like an outline. Even the campaign, I have an outline, and then depends on what the players want to do. So even on the encounters, like the ones that I did recently on Ecolectricon, where it was cool. Like you're gonna fight in the village, then you fight in the cave, then you actually get to the lair. So if the village was really easy, something happens. So the village gets a little bit harder. And I had different groups, and one's just bleeds through, but all you need is a player to make a bad decision, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this just became really deadly.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I've had players die almost to doors, unlocked doors. Yeah.
Yep.
Not because, a door cannot just be a door.
It literally was
Exactly.
just a door. They rolled a lot of ones and went frustrated. I'm just going to shoot it with my crossbow. Okay, that's a 1 and you're standing behind your companion. Okay.
No,
But
I had one, and the villain of the castle who actually told the players, "Do not open that door. Not a good idea." Right? I do not recommend you open that door. And that villain bamfed out, leaving them to deal with other people. And one of the players go like, "I'm just gonna open the door." Go like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
I asked the question and go like, "Yes." I go like, "Cool. Do you want to check anything?" "No, I just opened the door." Go like,
yeah, they don't pick up on those. Are you sure? And it's like, oh, you touch it with your hand. You're just not going to make any checks. No?
And I particularly love having traps that involve wisdom or intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, oh my god, how they get dumped.
Yeah. So many people use those as their dump stats. Yeah.
Like, intelligence is beautiful for me. I love it.
It is because there's so few intelligence casters. People tend to start thinking that it is a dump stat. And it is a lot of fun when they have something that's an int saving throw. Alas. I do want to talk a bit more about, I guess, your experience at Collecticon, because one of the things that I think is quite different about the games that I've seen you run is you're quite open to having younger players, whereas I tend to be a little bit I'm not phobic of them. Children are fine.
Hey, my kids like you.
Yeah, but I do find it challenging playing with a lot of younger players, but I've noticed that that's something that you're really good at. Do you find that your preparation is different or intent is different when you know that you're going to have a younger group, or do you tend to treat the same? Really?
Yes. No.
Make it bloody and scale it back.
No, it's absolutely identical. The only time that I ran really different is once that I had just the mum and a 6-year-old at the table.
Yeah.
And then
6-year-old.
Yes. Diana started like first time Diana went to Collecticon, she had just done 6.
Yeah, wow, okay.
So like it's fine. So it was just her and the kid, and it was almost a 1-to-1, and it was all about making sure that kid had fun.
Yeah.
It was like, whatever you want to do, let's make it happen, because it's just you and me here.
Yeah.
Right? But when these kids, I don't change, but I attune to the type of kid it is, right? So if it's a teenager with attitude, I go like, cool, you give me attitude, I'll give you sass. Right? And I'll test you, and I'll try you, and I'll challenge you. Right?
Yeah.
If it's a kid that knows everything, I go like, well, this one is different. You actually don't know. But this is what it is. I go like, and says who?
Yeah.
Right? And it might have to do like, I do have 2 kids, right? So it's just like, for me, it's like playing with them.
Yeah. So you think being a parent helps you, I guess, understand playing with kids better in like a TTRPG setting?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I think you understand the boundary of a kid a little bit better. And it's interesting because kids tend to respect adults that are not their parents in a different way. And I do that to all ages. I don't ask permission as a game master, I just tell them.
Yep.
Like,
What, you tell them Santa's not real?
No, it's just like, this just happened.
Yeah.
And there's no question of, what? No, it just happened. You pull the curtain. Oh, there's an arrow sticking out of your shoulder.
Oh, no.
There's no dice.
No.
It just happened. Just determined.
So is that something you find playing with sort of some of the younger groups, is that you would rely less on some roles and you're actually a little bit more directive or descriptive of what is happening in the world?
I think that's just who I am. Sorry.
Yeah, that's don't need to be sorry. That is you. Yes, apologise for who you are as a person immediately. This is not a discussion. This is an intervention.
This is not an open-hearted, beautiful discussion about the dynamics of role playing and experiences.
For me, it's really simple, right? I just have one me, right? So I behave the same way at home at work when I run a game.
Yeah.
And I'm very directive, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually like very respectful of who they are, but very directive as well. So it
Yeah.
becomes
Okay.
really clear because this is what it is. If there's no ambiguity, it's easy for them to
Okay.
interact as well because they go like, cool,
Yeah.
you go up the stairs and this happens. What do you
Yeah.
do? And then they go like, cool, this just happened.
Yeah.
Because if there's doubt and ambiguity, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah.
point. So that sort of
I
ability
like
to
that.
tolerate that ambiguity and flourish. I like that as a, I guess, as a way of managing some of those younger players that some people could see more challenging. Are there any other things that, if people were looking at running games for younger groups, that you think would be useful to know?
It's important not to be attached to the rules.
Yeah.
It's their game, not your game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attention span is limited.
Mm.
They get tired,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Attention span is limited. I feel
Yeah, they
targeted.
get decision fatigue. Yeah.
Right? They get
Yeah.
tired, right? And as they get tired, you need to input the energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So at the end of the day, on a con, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And you see me do it, right? I use no DM screen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
use one dice. Because
Yeah.
everything is average. It needs to be quick. I use 1d20, and I don't roll it that much either.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I just roll the probability in my head of what's
Yeah.
the coolest thing to happen right now.
Yeah.
Right? And I let them roll the dice when they want to. And I just keep the energy up. And if I see the day dozing away, I just either I talk louder or something happens, or I move around the table and I sit right next to them and go like, "Oh, your character's doing this.
Yeah.
How
That's
are
what
you doing
I see
that?"
you and a couple of other DMs do at conventions, and I love that. It's so much
I
more
move a lot.
respectful of your players as well. Like it's showing them that you are there for them. Yeah, I love that.
On the campaign is the same. I use no DM screen. I use one dice, and then it's just what it is. And so on the siege, it's 4 players, and they running 4 players. So the 4 players, and then they running one, and they have allies, right?
Yeah.
6 drakes, 6 green drakes. They're
Nice.
allies for them. One dragonel, which they can use as a mount.
Yep.
2
Nice.
veterans and an NPC, and they run them. So like they'll do anything. You can't sacrifice them because then they will protect their lives.
Sounds fair.
And on those ones, the players need to run on averages as well, because we can't be rolling dice for that many. Otherwise, the game just doesn't move. And for me, the game flowing and moving is more important than if this was a 19 or 18.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah. So it's that momentum in the game and people staying engaged in the narrative, which is something that is important.
And the monsters are intelligent.
Yeah.
So the same way that a player can prepare a reaction based on what they see, if there's a monster that's about to come in and they haven't seen that monster yet, but the monster can see everything the players are doing, the monster may choose not to come in and prepare a reaction. So they almost lost the Dragonelle because I had 2 bolt launchers giant ogres, and one missed, one hit, and they shot from behind a tree.
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
go like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I guess we didn't check it." I go like, "Yes." And when you ask for help, you open the portal outside the walls so everyone saw what you were bringing in. And they go like, "Yeah, we did that." I go like, "Yes, you did that."
Yeah.
And they were watching.
Yeah. The GM never forgets. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no, never. But I do the same. I don't change that too much between a campaign and a convention either.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things that we've talked about on this channel before is when you are running at conventions, you do need to be mindful of kind of the audience and the fact that you haven't been able to develop a relationship with your players. A lot of them you'll be seeing for the first time. And some of the things that perhaps might be okay in campaigns or that you might be comfortable with your players, you might be less so at conventions with strangers or youngers. Is that something that you found that has affected the way that you run games or affected your preparation, having to be mindful that you don't have that level of trust? Because I sometimes have to keep that in mind as well, because I don't know my players and I need to be careful. They might have a spider phobia. I use a lot of spiders.
I change my level of tolerance for things.
Okay.
I do not take it personal when they spend a lot of time on their device, for example, because it might be because that's a point of security for them.
Yeah.
And they go like, okay, that's fine. I need to turn. And I'll just and I'll move it. I try to choose things that people don't tend to be scared of. Like no one's scared of dragons or giants or kobolds or goblins or
there's no actually specific phobias that I can think of around that.
no, because they don't really exist, right? They can't really come and hurt you, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I do it. So I go generic and
so you keep to that kind of more fantasy, that more I don't want to say trope, but that more standard expectation of what people would encounter in a game, rather than going for like body horror or anything like that, which I would never run at a convention.
But even in a campaign, like it's the we don't have a lot of rules, but nothing that is just wrong.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah, well put.
Absolutely.
Right? So neither the players nor the monsters. No one does the stuff that's just wrong. That's just I don't just don't want to be part of the game.
Yeah.
So that,
sorry.
So that just kind of makes that simple, right? So we don't do torture.
Yeah.
Right. So
I don't do torture in any games, and
that is really hard, for example, right? Because every time in the players have learned that if they interact, they get rewarded. If they just go, and I had this one was beautiful. They tried to open a door. They opened the door. People just closed the door. They just went in and killed everyone. And they go like, "Oh, I guess we should have asked who they were." And I go like, "Yes, you should.
Probably should have." Yeah.
And I spent weeks after going like, "Remember when you just went into a house and you killed a whole bunch of people?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's an
Is this one of those moments where we need to take a step back?
Well, it's interesting because at conventions, that idea, because I'm really keen on actions have consequences. And I mean, I don't allow evil alignments in my games, especially for conventions, because it's just too complex when you have that time limit. But for me, it's really important that in my games, that's one of the values that comes across, is that actions have consequences. And if you act like a dick, then the world is not a happy place and you're probably not going to have fun.
If you're mean to the people in town, the town is mean to you.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful one. The players forgot that they left a body in a necromantic temple for me.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
And it's a PC that died. The player wanted to change characters.
Yeah.
Right? So the PC just happened to die. Didn't have to die. Through.
Well, hello.
Yeah, I know.
Hi.
Oh no.
It happened.
Hello, microphone.
And the PC just went. Hordak and Shadow Weaver.
Yeah, it's a lovely t-shirt.
And I keep reminding them. I go like, remember that body you guys left behind?
Yeah.
And they go like, oh, stop talking about it. I go like, no.
Is this foreshadowing or just being caught up on something? Who knows?
No, just messing with them. You never intend to do anything with it.
This happened, but this happened at a convention, in one of the collecticons. Like I had a map, and there was a bush in the map. There was nothing on the bush.
Yeah,
and everyone got obsessed about the bush. There was a little bush in the map
every time.
And it was about something else. And they go like, "But this, we need to go investigate that bush." And I go like, and I'm running my head. I go like, "Just a bush." And then they go do all of this thing, and they ask, and they finally get to ask one of the monsters, like, "What's this?" They go like, "It's the pea bush."
Okay.
That's so evil.
I just made it up, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, a wild sheep chase sounds made up at the end when there's a dragon type thing. I won't spoil it for anyone who wants to play it because it's really good. But yeah, it's just it's just a short one shot. It's fun. It's bonkers. Like that.
Which one?
That I think is a wild sheep chase. You guys can find it. Like if you just Google it, it's like one of the most popular, highly recommended, like one shot adventures for someone running for their first time, playing for their first time. Super simple.
Yeah.
That's all them are.
Oh.
Actually, that's interesting. Talking about super simple, and one of the things that we've mentioned about conventions is that you have people who may not have played before. Do you give your players sort of the full pre-gen character sheets? Do you simplify things? Do you have hint sheets, anything like that?
I literally download pre-gens from the Wizards of the Coast website.
Yeah.
Which doesn't look like a standard character sheet. It's just all in there. and I just asked them, what do you want to do? And if they get lost in the character sheet, I go like, don't worry, just tell me what you want to do. So I run the whole game on a convention on what do you want to do? And then if they want to do something, I go like, okay, so you're telling me that you do this, or you doing this, and maybe roll this or do that, or whatever it is. I don't really know the character sheet. I don't know anyone's character sheet. I don't really mind too much what they pick. And I run the whole game on what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And if someone gets hung up on the spell or something they're trying to do, I might go like, hey, you're trying to do this, but this works here. And as soon as the other 6 people on this table do that, that's kind of going to get stuck. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
Sweet. That's what you want to do.
Yeah. So it sounds like you sort of give them a bit more explanation about it. It's like, I want to cast darkness. And it'd be like, okay, so are you sure that you want to do that? It's going to make everything dark. Yes. No one will be able to see.
This much dark.
Yeah.
A lot more than you probably thought. Yeah.
Yes. And it's over here. It doesn't move with you.
Yeah.
And then everyone moved over there.
Yeah.
Like, but like, but no.
Yeah.
And
you interpret what the players want to do with what you know is what the rules are capable of, and you just call for what's necessary as it's required. Otherwise, the narrative's the narrative, and you are role playing.
I also love when they go like, "How does this spell work?" I go like, "I don't know."
I don't know. What does it say?
That's an interesting approach.
And we'll figure it out.
There's a really good app called Spellbook. It's free.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot of these spells in there. And and I'll just read out of it if it's in a convention. If it's a proper player, I go like, I don't know, like it's your character. I got a stack of paper this big for to remember what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know how your spells work.
Yeah.
But I could do that. I go like, well, like
that's actually really interesting, because one of the things I find myself being much more sort of explaining things in conventions and much more open to people not knowing what their spells do, especially someone who's like, it's my first game of D&D. I'm like, okay, I've got a level 5 character. I'd like to play a wizard. Okay.
But then I go back to, what do you want to do? And if it's that person, I go like, I want to cast Thunderwave 40 times. I go like, sure. Doesn't matter. Don't worry. Slots. Who cares? Just, that's fine. You do it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That reminds me. So one of the channels that I really like watching is Ox Ventures. So it's a UK group. They're YouTubers. I do recommend them. But the first games that they started playing several years ago, their GM, Johnny Chiodini, also amazing game master. They are fantastic. But just gave them very rough character sheets and said, we're casting Thunderwave. Didn't count spell slots because they didn't know the game and wanted them to have fun. So it sounds like that's kind of a similar approach to you take at conventions.
Yeah. Do I have a potion of healing? I go like, yes, probably 3.
Yes.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, probably. Yeah, a couple.
Of course you do. You want to come here
one of your potions,
Yeah.
Like, how much healing? I don't know, like, roll 3d6 and it's fine.
Yeah,
like on a convention, really, like it doesn't really matter too much because there's no next. So that's in the beginning when you ask, you say like a run for maximum fun.
Yeah,
it's not matter. It matters that it is fun and they get to enjoy the game and they come back again.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that matters.
I think I tend to agree because conventions can often be people's introduction to D&D. And for me personally, I feel like if people get too hung up on rules and, you can't do this and you can't do that, they're going to get discouraged. And I don't want that.
That's not what I'm there to go, cool, pause, everyone waits. Let me get a book. Hang on. Like, give me a minute. Hang on.
Guilty, when you're starting out, maybe. But when you're at a convention, hopefully you've got I've seen people first time they're ever running a game at a convention, which kudos to them, for the public. But like it's a different experience.
And with in the campaign, it's if you're not paying attention, you dodge. So what are you doing? I don't know. Okay, you have 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Or you dodge. Like you only do that once. Once. People are never not ready.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I've had
I think
players
it's
that no
your
matter how often I get that.
your whole highly disciplined, like, I love the discipline that you've instilled in these players. Like, also what you're saying by cutting back on some of these roles and rules and checking and all of that, you've enabled your players to do so much more stuff in a campaign, in a one-shot at a convention. You said that your campaign has more allies than there are initial party members, so they obviously share that, they obviously dictate all of that, they have their own narrative moments and interesting things. They're just doing so much more, and the pace at which you do that is incredible when you're just putting a lot of it aside and playing for fun. I love it.
Yeah. And then, from all I need, because if they do all of that to them, all I need to do is manage the waves, right? When you asked about encounters and how do I design, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing that I pay attention, which is the maximum possible damage versus how many hit points they have. And I try, not hard and fast, but I try to make that the damage on a normal hit, not a critical hit, is no more than half.
Yeah, okay, because you don't want to...
A player's... Yes, right? But if you get hit, if you have already been hit a few times, there might be too many.
Yeah.
But and that sometimes you can then put a more challenging monster to just control how hard they hit.
That's a really nice way, because I know especially some newer DMs, they'll go to something like D&D Beyond, or they'll go and they'll do the manual calculations. Well done, anyone who does that. But they'll look at challenge rating and they go, okay, I've got level 6 characters that should be able to take on this level. But I think that's very complicated. Your way sounds really nifty, is can this encounter one-shot my players before they've had any fun?
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I'm going to do that.
The one that I had, the one that actually killed a player character, it was a loose end. It didn't deal with someone, and they came back for vengeance.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't one shot, but he just lightning bolted everyone. And the one player went double hit points. Negative, right? And that's really what happened. And it was after a very long, very hard fight. So there is scope, right? But
I mean, it's, the dice can always, you can get a critical, and then you can get 2 criticals on someone who's got 2 attacks, and that's you gone. So sometimes that happens.
I like putting their hands too. I like when they have to do saves.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Sammy's got a question in the chat that I want to get back to in a second, which goes about looking for references. But it's interesting. Death saves. There is not a lot of debate. There's certainly conversations about who rolls death saves. What's your view?
I ask them if they want to roll or if they want me to roll.
Yeah.
I ask them if they want to know. And I ask them if they want to share with the rest of the party or not.
Yeah.
Or they just want to narrate how the character looks.
A third angle. I love it.
I like it.
Yes, right? So maybe no one knows if actually failed, right? And I have one player who just not even wants to know if I roll. He doesn't even want to know. And I just say, like, your breathing is getting harder.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you go, how does it look? I go, like, the breathing is really shallow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love it.
So
I put in their hands, like, how do you want to play this, right?
I mean, it sounds like for you, it's very much about giving autonomy back to the players.
Yeah. I already have enough work to do. They can do some heavy lifting too.
That actually relates to Sammy's question from the chat, because we talked earlier about looking at references and not wanting to get caught up. But Sammy's talking about what happens if somebody is trying to find the right spell. And I think we're talking specifically spellcasters and at those higher levels when you might have a whole bunch of things. How do you handle when you've got players who are perhaps going through and like, look, I know I want to do this, or I want to do something, but I just have to find the right spell. What's your view in that? How strict are you about that? Oh, well, you're going to take the dodge action if you can't come up with a...
No, different. It's if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Not if you're struggling with something.
Yeah.
And if there's, we had and this is silly, we, as 5 people who know how to play, got confused about rage when he finishes.
Yep.
And then we always stop and go like, okay, this is confusing. Let's all have a read. But
Yeah,
that
let's
was
figure it
everyone
out.
got engaged into sorting it out. So if
Yeah.
someone who's having trouble with how a spell works, like no one
Yeah.
ever remembers how wish actually works.
Oh,
Every time someone needs to read it, and
Wow.
you need to read it slowly because it's messy.
Yeah.
Or chill touch, like it's not called or
Yeah.
touch. It's just cool. That's
Mm.
fine. Let's read it together and understand. Right. And I also gauge on, depending on how the player says it works, even if I believe should be a little bit different, I ask
Mm.
myself one question: does it matter?
Yeah.
If
That's
it
such
doesn't matter, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can figure it out in between sessions. Like
Yeah.
when it
Right, it's
when it
fine.
really comes down to it
And
and you're
then
not
if I go
sure,
like,
make
that
it
was
work.
wrong. Yeah, because if I after the session I go like, okay, that was wrong, and I think that would be bad
Yeah.
ongoing, then we might have a
Mm.
chat outside, and
Yeah.
not
Yep.
in a bad way, but hey, this
Yeah.
happened. I think this is actually how it is, and
Mm.
it's like collaborative,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
So
And we
it's
go
not
from
Mine's
the
there.
always.
deep word. It's let's work
No,
this together. Yeah.
because it's
Amazing.
not my game. It's not my
Yeah,
story.
what can we agree upon? Yeah, what can we all agree upon as canon or rules or homebrew or an
Yeah.
adjustment moving forward? And
Yeah.
that's fine.
Oh,
It's just
I think I have a good example too. Like, so we
Yeah.
had a they were level 2, I think,
Mhm.
and an owlbear came out of the cave and just rolled really well,
Yeah.
and and killed. Like he was gonna be like, no, he was gonna be proper dead, right? Because he was down and then hit again,
Yeah.
and he was gonna be proper gone, right?
mm,
And because they tried to kill the cub, so the owlbear was not happy,
Consequences.
right? So it was like bang bang, and then the cleric said, "But like, can I just do something about it?" Out of turn. I go like,
Yeah.
"What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
And he described and go like, "Okay, you can do that, but then you lose 2 turns after."
Yeah.
And then we came up with this desperation thing that if you
Yeah.
can explain how you could get in the way of the arrow or the spell or whatever it is,
Mm.
you can push out of the way, you can get hit instead, you can sacrifice, and then you're
Yeah.
losing your turns after. But
Yeah.
I never had anyone worry about that because they go like, "Wow, that was so cool that this just happened."
Yeah.
Right? And someone
So
said,
it's
"Cool."
a
mm.
fair.
Yeah,
So you
it's a
go out
trade
of
off.
turns,
It
you're having 2
becomes a
turns,
mechanic.
so you're already using your next turn. So you're really
Yeah.
losing 1 turn. Right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah, I
it's
love it.
that allowing that. Sorry, I was going to say that autonomy, but with consequence.
Yes, you choose.
Mm.
What do you want to
Yeah.
You're gonna love how initiative works in I think it's Dragonbane, where it's cards, and each round of combat you just get a card, and whoever has that card is now sequential in the order.
That's
So
like
there's 10 initiative
it's like
cards.
Deadlands.
So you have your card and you have your action, but you can do other things, and you can either like block or attack. It's very, very like structured, but you can also trade your initiative. You can only do it on your turn, and who you trade with doesn't have a say. Monsters also have initiative. Monsters can have multiple initiatives. It's a very elegant way, and you've just reminded me of that. I think that's such an elegant way to add a big pivotal storytelling moment. They could have to spend an inspiration as well, like you could make it work for your group as well, like if they don't like the turn sacrifice. But that just makes so much sense. That's
That is
love
cool. One thing that I do is I have very, very seldom I use group initiative for monsters. I use initial
Yeah, no.
individual.
Individual. Yeah, same.
Yeah, same.
Unless I have, 1,000 swarms of rats, then all the rats are going at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't like group initiative for them because then the GM just takes too much time
Oh, yeah. Okay,
away.
so now my zombies are going to go, and now this.
Yeah, and now I
and
just
now-
had this 10-minute turn that was just mine, and then you guys go, and I think it can be really brutal because you have 6 or 8 or 9 hits before the players can do anything,
Yeah.
and they don't really have an opportunity to move around. Right?
Yeah.
Another thing that I do encourage the players to do a lot is use reaction.
Yeah. I think reactions, you saying that's made me think that I think reactions are very underutilized in 5e, the way a lot of people I've seen play. And I think sometimes the rules are a little bit, I have a house rule, is that a reaction is not going to cost you a reaction doesn't cost you, but no, holding an action doesn't cost you a reaction, which I know is against the 5e rules, but it annoys me.
Yeah,
so I
but
don't run it that
that's
way.
again, you're technically giving up like 2 actions potentially there.
Yeah.
That's the cost of holding an action for like when a specific event takes place. Like I find it necessary, but like that's kind of like they didn't choose to make a shift initiative ability. They said you can just delay something for when you want to do something at a particular time, which is fine. But if you did want to switch initiative, I'm guilty of absolutely just like letting the players roll. What did you get? Okay, getting their initiative and sprinkling monsters in between, because there's opportunities for players to collaborate on back-to-back turns, but then it's a bit of back and forth as well, and sometimes it's worth just chucking one at a high initiative, like damned rolling initiative for monsters. It's always silly.
I also
too much to
encourage I like when they one very powerful thing to do with reaction and holding and planning is, and very few groups though I very rarely see, is we want to all attack at the same time.
Yeah.
Because we all hold until that guy comes over here, and then we all shoot at the same time.
Yeah.
Because then that monster or the enemy has no chance to do anything between, because they're all holding for the same trigger.
Yeah.
And it is so powerful.
That's great.
If they've set themselves up right, like rolled stealth and put themselves in an advantageous position, if they've done the prep work, which I've seen you're a huge fan of, which I love, then absolutely they've curated a critical moment and go for it. Absolutely, it happens. Yeah.
And I'm happy for them to one-shot whoever it is.
Yeah.
Because they put the effort in.
Yeah, it becomes cinematic. It's the payoff, right? Speaking of payoffs, we are starting to run out of time. This always happens. We get these amazing people on, like yourself, Renato. We start talking, we get very excited, and then suddenly we're at the end of our time.
And then suddenly your microphone gets really crackly as well, which is just absolutely...
Has my microphone just gotten terrible again?
It's just right then. Just right then.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Sorry about that. But
that's okay.
So I guess since we are starting to run out of time, and we've kind of talked around, running games at conventions, running for younger type players. I nearly said younger audiences, and I don't know why I just rolled my eyes about younger. Children are people too. I'm not anti-child. Don't cancel me. But is there any sort of, thoughts you'd share with people who are starting to think about running at conventions or starting to run for younger audiences from your experience, Renato, that you think would be helpful for people to consider?
I have an outline, not a plan.
Yeah. I love that.
Have an intention, not a story. Prepare for energy, bringing the energy. Don't be afraid to say this is what happens.
Yeah.
And just run for fun. I think standing up is very powerful as well.
Standing up when you're running games? Yeah.
And especially if you have children, you're moving around the table, and if you see there's a child or even an adult who's struggling, so like the person who's struggling to find this spell, you move around the table and you go next to them and go like, show me where you're struggling. And then if it becomes a massive struggle, you just go like, okay, how about if this happened? Would you be happy with that? And they go like, yeah, I'm happy with that. Cool. Oh, no, this is not what I meant. Or like, what did you mean? I meant this. Yeah, I can run with that.
Yeah, what did you want to do? Yeah.
And you can park the actual correct resolution to check later. And if you would have had a different impact, you can retcon. It's all imagination. It's all in your head. It doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
So that's really what it is.
That's
in my
amazing.
head.
That's awesome. Jared, any thoughts or responses? Because you're very experienced at conventions as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of what you've said has just really resounded with things that I've definitely, I've approached games as well with similar intensity, throwing as much as possible, making it dynamic and unique, crawling through the Underdark or doing these wonderful exotic locations, do a chilled jungle exploration, do something that isn't just on the Sword Coast set in Baldur's Gate or anything, you know, like just a village or something. Like, do something really dynamic, make it special for conventions. But I've just been thinking massively, like, I think I've assimilated some of your mechanical mind there, Renato, because I'm thinking of hit points as resources, how much damage do I want to be doing, and the pace of that damage that goes out, because your approach with the whole start big, go smaller is that's exactly it. You're controlling the throttle of how intense, how quickly things are happening throughout an entire session, but also particularly in combat and how many rounds. And it's just the adage of, you know, how many hit points does it have until it's no longer fun. So I love
hit points are actually luck points, right?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with stamina and your ability to fight back.
Hit points, if you have 400 hit points and 100 in 1 point and 1 hit point, and you're capable of the same thing, you haven't really been damaged and bleeding out. It's really when did you run out of luck and you actually got clobbered?
Yeah.
You've been taking wounds and superficial stuff, and absolutely. That's just the one thing with like 5th edition and a lot of RPGs that just use a standard hit point tracker. I think games like Alien, where you've got multiple metrics, and Stress, and like Call of Cthulhu, where you've got you know, all of that sort of stuff. A few more life resources to juggle is never a bad thing.
Shoot the xenomorph, right? Because he acids on your arm and your arm's gone.
You have no idea how bad that is.
Decision.
Yeah.
The amount of mechanics that come in when you shoot a xenomorph, don't do it.
I know. Okay, like cool. Like I did 1 point of damage, and I just got 50 points of damage. You don't go to 50 on Alien, right? But I just got like 50 points of damage because of all the acid that splattered on me. I go like, oh, okay.
And the instant panic, and then the other things, and then everything.
I love the panic.
Everything happens.
I love the panic.
Yeah, panic is fantastic.
Speaking of panic, it is coming on time to wrap up our social pillar for the week. We are, however, back next week, and we are going to thank Renato for being such an awesome human being and spending so much awesome time with us.
Thank you for having me. It was great fun.
Yeah, we love having wonderful humans. I mean, we would probably do this if we didn't stream. We would just catch up and chat. Yeah. But no, appreciate you taking time. And you've had some amazing insights, and I know people in chat have found that really useful as well. So thank you for that. Jared, what are we doing next week? Because it's far be it from me to actually check the schedule.
I'm all over. It's all good. We are talking about, much like we have brought Renato into our fold and into the family of the social pillar, we're talking about bringing a player into an existing ongoing role-playing campaign, bring them into the family. What are the challenges you might face? What are the obstacles to overcome? New players to the hobby, or are they people who have come from another group that did things a bit differently? And maybe we have to have some of these conversations that we talk so much about in terms of agreeing as to how things are run, setting on those expectations, things like that. So Ian will be back. That's also cool. But in the meantime...
Can I say one thing on that?
Yeah.
Of course.
The biggest thing for me is giving them permission to leave before they start.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
So you can have a go, and if it's not for you, it's fine.
Yeah, setting up 100%. That safety. It's okay.
So they get permission to leave before they start. So there's no drama.
There's no guilt. Yeah, there's no drama. There's no guilt. There's no expectation. There's no disappointment. You're not letting anyone down. It's not like the group isn't going to be happening if you're not there. I love that so much. That's wonderful.
And also encourage them to come and watch for a session.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Be there, be present, and don't feel like you have to. Yeah, they can play if they want, but they don't have to as well. Like,
I watch.
Yeah.
Because then you're paying attention on the other people. You're understanding how we play. You're understanding who we are. You're paying attention to what we're doing. You're not trying to sort it out what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if that is a place and a style that suits you, then we can go from there.
That is a really interesting thing, and we'll definitely talk a bit more about that next week. Renato dropping the wisdom bombs. We are
booting us into next week.
so good. I mean, like, it's almost like we planned this, which anybody who has watched this for a while knows that Jared and I are maybe not the planners.
We're not the planners.
Yeah.
We're
a triad. But we will be back next week. Please do follow along if you like. Who forgot to
got some socials?
Probably me. We got some socials. Please do join us.
We'll chuck the socials down. Check those out before the ad starts.
Yeah, join us on the Discord. We are probably going to jump over. I recommend we actually do something a little bit different with our raid and go raid a friend of the channel, the good Quinesta, who is currently playing Baldur's Gate, which I think could be a little bit of fun. But yeah, please do join us next week. Everybody who's in chat, everybody who is lurked, who has said something, we appreciate you all very, very much.
And everyone watching after the fact. Renato, final parting words.
Final parting words. It's all down to you.
Parting words.
More words.
Final words.
It's just a game.
Amazing. I love it.
Love that. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Renato.
Thank you,
Jared. Thank you, everybody. We love you. We will see you
Sunday. We'll see you Sunday.
We'll see you Sunday. Oh my God, we nearly forgot. Collecticon. It's on this weekend. It's on Sunday.
Yes.
We're all going to be there.
And if you're watching and you don't have a ticket, shame on you.
Shame on you.
No.
It's okay if you can't make it.
The D&D's free. That's the best part. You pay entry, but we come as a bonus. That's what you get. Collecticon.
We're your bonus action.
Check it out.
You can come play with me on Sunday.
Oh yeah, Jared, please, we got to get. This is going crazy. It's off the rails.
We gotta go. Bye.
We gotta go.
Love you all.
Love you all.